So here at Railroads University, it's so important that we provide an acknowledgement of our traditional lands, whether we're able to join together in person in our beautiful space or virtually for discussions like this. So Railroads University acknowledges that our campus is located on the traditional lands of the Kusepsum and Lekwungen ancestors and families. It's with great gratitude that we live, learn, work, and play on this space where the past, present, and future scopes of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students, staff, and faculty come together. This is a great time to test out that chat box function. So again, looking at the black bar below, if you give the chat box a click, it should appear and let us know where in the world are you joining us from today. If you're coming in with any specific questions, feel free to pop those in as we'll get through those together as well. So before we pop into our chat box to meet some of you wonderful people, we want to make sure you know who we are in our discussion today. So as mentioned, my name is Selena. I'm an education specialist here at Railroads University, and I am so excited to be here with Dr. Wanda Krause, who is a program head of our suite of global leadership offerings, an associate professor here at Railroads. Thanks so much for being here, Wanda.
Thank you for that introduction, Selena. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm not sure what time zones you're all in, so good afternoon, good evening. So yes, I'm Wanda Krause, Program Head of the Global Leadership Program, and I just want to acknowledge we also have not just myself and Selena, but Alana McConaughey and Rhonda White. I mix up Rhonda and Wanda quite often. Rhonda White with us from admissions and enrollment. So we're all here as a team to support you with any questions. So as we move along, please, as Selena had introduced and mentioned, do ask questions. We'll also have a moment towards the end for questions and answers, but you do have your chat box to put in whatever you like, starting with where you're coming from. And on that note, I'm coming from a location, my home is just outside of Railroads University's area. So I'm on actually Wasanish traditional family lands who have stewarded these lands I'm situated on for millennia. And so just expressing gratitude for these lands. A little bit about me, my PhD is in politics. So I'm coming from a political science background focused on the Middle East. I've been very interested in understanding how especially women, but women and men work within organizations. So essentially creating change from the grassroots or the bottom up to understand the impact of that activism, all that work, working together. What works and what does not work for collaborations to actually have impact, and looking more specifically at that impact on the macro level. So we talk about the micro level in the program, which is our self-leadership. So how we lead ourselves first, thinking about that through mindset, through consciousness levels, through worldviews. So we're very focused on understanding cross-cultural or having cross-cultural competencies and intercultural competencies to navigate many of the challenges that we face on a macro level. So whether that's within organizations, we call that the meso level, or we're dealing with issues around planetary health, peace, war, those at the macro level, or poverty. So all three areas are interconnected. And so that's where we focus on for leadership learning and competencies throughout the program. And that's what my work has been revolving around. So how people can work together in a way that is actually very impactful. So that's a little bit about me. And I'll move it back to you, Selena, for the next slide.
Thanks so much, Wanda. You've all got to know a little bit more about myself and Wanda And looking at the chat box, we got to know a little bit more about all of you today. As Wanda mentioned, we have Rhonda and Alana with us, who are part of our enrollment team. So you'll see them bringing the chat box to life, sharing links and answering any questions that come up. And then we have folks who shared their joining from Vancouver and Calgary. And thinking back to our registration list, we actually had folks interested in this webinar today from all across the globe. So thank you all for your interest, and let's kick off. We're going to head right into telling you a little bit about the RRU experience. Of course, talk about our wonderful programs, leave time to walk through our application and requirements, and then of course, again, leave time for questions and conversations. That said, as things come up for you, pop them right into our chat box and we'll get through those together. So we'd like to share a quick snapshot of our beautiful campus. You may recognize this as we have participated in some movie filmings, which have been pretty neat. But our campus comes to life for us through being a place of connection for our students, staff, faculty, the greater community. So through these slides, you can see Hatley Castle, our teaching and learning buildings, a photograph on the top right of our Japanese gardens. We're so lucky to have a variety of curated spaces on our campus, such as the Japanese gardens, Italian gardens, and rose gardens. Though being on over 500 acres of overgrowth forest means that we have a variety of walking and hiking trails that are completely natural as well. The bottom left here, you see a photo of a Esquimalt lagoon. So not only do we have some beautiful curated gardens, gorgeous wild space, but at the base of our campus, we also have this lagoon, which is a registered bird sanctuary. So not only is the campus alive with people, but some fun critters as well. And then in this bottom slide here, you see what online learning can look like here at Royal Roads University. Over 25 years ago, we pioneered a blended learning model, which brought together folks both in an online and in-person capacity to allow for flexibility to support working professionals and accessing post-secondary education. We're so proud of being a university for working professionals because that means our students are bringing in challenges and opportunities they're facing in their life and in their workplace right into our classrooms. So not only is your education informing your life and what is happening in your world, but what's happening in your world is informing the type of learning that's happening in our classrooms. And that's why our cohort learning model, which in short is a format where you start your program with a carefully selected group of individuals, and then you move through together all the way to the end. And this cohort model allows us to make sure that our classrooms are filled with folks with diversity in terms of their backgrounds, their experiences, academic, personal, and professional, so that their conversations in our classroom are equally diverse and relevant to today's space. So with that said, why don't we kick off and start talking about the programs themselves? So with that, Wanda, I will pass the microphone back over to you.
Thanks again, Selena. So global leadership, what is it? I saw in the chat some questions around understanding the programs at Royal Roads a little bit better. So speaking to global leadership as a program, obviously we've got many programs, but for global leadership, it's related to leadership in the sense that we embrace the experiences that you bring to the program. All of you who have been invited to this call have global leadership experience in regards to maybe leading projects in organizations or within your community. Whatever you've done to create change in this world, we appreciate and we harness in a way where you're learning the theories and practices to deepen your impact around leadership on a global scale. That could be working locally on issues, but being very mindful as well how that local collaboration or leadership on a project, for example, connects to some of our bigger challenges globally. So we support your development around leading and supporting yourself, as I mentioned earlier, so self-leadership. Others, that meso level that I mentioned, that could be at the organizational level or community level. Of course, these interconnect. And then we move to supporting your competencies with the macro level. So connecting your leadership skills and techniques and strategies to creating change on that bigger scale. So those systems levels in ways that enhance the well-being. So, moving back towards communities the other way. So supporting community development and organizations, as well as thinking about that local to global on a planetary level. And that's to address our big global leadership challenges that we're grappling with today, that we see happening around us today. And of course, being very strategic to know that whatever we're doing strategically is also for future generations. Thanks, Selena. So who's this for? So if you're thinking, is this program for me? How do I fit into this program? We get the question quite often around who this program is for and where am I going to be after this, after this program is done. It really depends on where you feel called to. Quite honestly, it's quite simple. So there's many competencies you will learn around global leadership. How do you see these competencies directing you or supporting you in the direction you want to go? And you also have a little bit of leeway by choice of the electives, by the kinds of topics you choose for your assignments for each course, to zone in and focus in on where you want to grow the most for your leadership learning. So you see a very long list here for students who are entering the program. I'll let you know that this list is also generated from true students within the program. That means students are mirrored in the categories that we have here based on who we've had come through the program already. So we've got students from all sectors, in other words, from INGOs, so those international government, so those larger organizations, people from the UN, Indigenous organizations and government, human rights organizations. You can see a whole long list here, social purpose oriented entrepreneurs and organizations. And we're seeing a lot more students within the program, even if they're coming from certain sectors, becoming interested in some of the topics listed here. So for example, climate action or planetary health oriented work. You may be coming from a certain sector and then collaborating with others from completely different sectors, but you'll be surprised to learn on many issues that are common between your different sectors. So we're always hoping to see a diversity of students coming within, from your different sectors and backgrounds coming into the program and bringing those diverse knowledges and experiences and deepening them together. Next slide. All right. So what kinds of programs do we have? As you know, and I'm just looking at the bottom one, we have the Masters of Arts. So that's typically a 2-year program or 24 months. Students who take the 24-month program can take it either by coming onto campus. So you're here in Victoria. I'm just looking at the background that Selena has, and you saw the pictures that Selena introduced earlier. Yeah, this is a beautiful, honestly, it's one of the most beautiful campuses I've seen in Canada. So you can be in Victoria with others, or you can be joining from the online. So that's called the blended program. If you're in the blended program, you're generally studying wherever you're located. And so that gives you a great amount of flexibility to attend to whatever you need to in life, whether that's work or, as you know, many other responsibilities that we sometimes carry. And if you're on campus, you can work part-time, but typically if you are in the 13-month, we expect you are not working, and you really do calculate how much time and energy you have for a 13-month program. So 13 months is the same program as the 24-month, but it's extremely condensed and intensive. So just be aware that if you're gunning for the 13-month to have your master's completed in just over a year, it's possible, but you also have to really think about your personal capacities to dedicate so much time and energy to multiple courses at the same time. Both master's programs are 36 credits. The graduate diploma is 10 months, and that's 18 credits. Again, you can be on campus or online in the blended program. You've got both choices for this one as well. And with the graduate diploma, we'll show you a visual that will help explain the courses that you would take. But you've got, with this choice, 2 elective courses in addition to the mandatory courses that you'd be taking. The graduate certificate is 9 credits and 5 months of study. With all 3 different choices, you're all beginning together in one big or semi-big cohort. So you're joining your journey as a cohort. You're getting to know everyone and moving through up until wherever you want to go to. Mind you, most students who take the certificate program actually go on further. I think it's only been maybe 1 student who stopped at the certificate program. Some students just want to see, is this for me? Do I really want to invest that amount of time for a master's? Let me just get a little bit of, a taste, or my toes wet a little bit before I decide. And then students often move forward. Sometimes students already have a master's or even are at the PhD level or doctorate level and want to shift their careers, or for whatever reasons you have in mind, want to get a certificate and not want to move forward into another master's program. The certificate allows you to ground your competencies and knowledge in global leadership if you've been orienting yourself academically into a different direction, but realize global leadership is now becoming very important to you, and you want to take a certificate program to support your journey. Thanks, Selena. So I've spoken to the courses a little bit here. For the graduate certificate, the diploma, and the master's, you're taking GBLD 501 as the first course, which is called Personal and Theoretical Foundations to Global Leadership. Everyone then takes the next course, which is a 9-credit course. So in other words, 3 courses in one. It's an intensive course, and that's GBLD 505, Personal Capacities for Working in Complex Global Systems. So you see, we're starting you off learning the foundations, the theory, what global leadership is, and then with 505, we dive right into self-leadership or personal leadership as the first step into understanding global leadership. And then if you're going on to a graduate diploma, you take 2 extra courses. So for the certificate students, you stop at those 2 courses. If you're doing a diploma, you take 2 other courses, which are both each 3-credit courses. And this is the visual I mentioned earlier that we'd be showing for those who just love to see what things will look like for them. At the top, you'll see the GBLD 501 course. Everyone starts online. Even if you're coming onto campus, you join your cohort online. Your next course, GBLD 505, as you see, everyone is together again, whether on campus or blended. And here you'll be able to be a little bit online and have the 2-week residency together. Those who are in the on-campus program, you will be continuing on campus. So separated then to some degree. Sometimes we bring both classes together during the timings of the on-campus students so that you continue to have the opportunity in a hybrid fashion to work together. Then you'll see the course choices for electives for those of you who move beyond the certificate. Again, those who are doing the diploma, you have 2 electives. Those who are doing a master's, whether you're doing the on-campus or blended, or you're doing the 13-month or the 24-month, you have 4 elective choices. Oh, sorry, you have many elective choices, but you will need to do 4. So here are the courses that we have within the program: Navigating Geopolitical Dynamics of Global Communities, Community Development in the Global Context, Managing Difficult Relationships Within and Across Community Dynamics. We also have other elective courses across Royal Roads University. So this is not the only choices you have. You can take 1 elective course if you wish to. You do not have to. You can take all your electives within the program. You see, we also have an evaluation of global context, and we have an international excursion 535. So we have several choices within the program, but you can take 1 of your electives outside the program. Typically, those are within communications, within management, environment, wherever you see yourself needing to orient yourself through courses based on where you want to go after you graduate. And we can have those discussions. So you don't have to worry at this point about which of the electives. You have time when you join the program to think about it, talk to others, talk to one of us as well. I noticed that Lisa Korak, our program coordinator, had joined us as well. So I'm sorry I didn't mention, Lisa, that you were here. But Lisa also supports with that thinking, and she's here to answer your questions as well. Then you move into, if you're doing your master's, you move into what's called GBLD 612. And that course is called Leadership, Engagement, Inquiry, and Dialogue. It used to be called 610 Project Planning and Management. So that's just why that title is there. And you have 2 weeks for the students who are going into the blended. You have 2 weeks in person in Victoria with everybody else. So the on-campus students as well. So that's where you have your second residency. You have the first one in 505 and the second one in 612. For those of you who are doing the 24-month program in the master's, you will come in your second year to do the second residency. If you're in the blended program as well, if you're on campus, it's in the second year. If you are in the 13-month program, you will actually take this course just 2 months after your first residency. So you'll actually have residencies pretty much back to back. And then you move into 2 choices for your completion of your master's program. You will be doing either a capstone project, so you'll be working one-on-one with a supervisor who will guide you through working on, it's similar to a thesis, but a smaller chunk of a thesis where it's practice-oriented. You'll locate perhaps geographically where you want to be to do this. It could be in Canada, it can be abroad, and it can be for an abroad community or a community outside Canada, but from the online space. There's many, many ways you can flexibly do this. And at the end, you're producing a report that is in support, because it's practice oriented, it's in support of a community or an organization to help them address a challenge that they're grappling with. They don't know how to deal with a particular global leadership challenge. You'll have the competencies to help them. You'll know by that time what that means and how you can really be of service. And of course, it's something that you're also passionate about. So it brings these two together. It's a lot of work, but it's super, super rewarding. We get so much positive feedback from the communities who benefit and the students who work through this process. The second choice is GBLE 641, and that's an internship. So you can do the capstone or an internship where you are finding an organization, again, mostly within Canada or North America, but it can also be abroad, and supporting that organization similarly with a challenge they have. So they determine with you what that's going to be, and you support them. So again, it's in a way servant leadership. But there's another component to this where you are developing your skills further. So bringing your learnings into this organization and developing yourself within that organization. So for example, if you wanted to deepen your knowledge about Canadian organizations, you might want to opt in for the internship so that you can get some practical knowledge about how an organization functions within the Canadian context. I'll add here, we don't have it on the screen yet because we don't have it completed yet in terms of that offering. But by the time you join the program and by the time you get through to your completion option, we anticipate we will have the third option, which is for you to have the choice to go abroad. And this is, probably more for students who are considered domestic or students who are Canadian, where you're taking 2 courses abroad, typically within the same institution. So you just go to one place, and those 2 courses would, being 3 credits each, amount to 6 credits. So that would be your third option to complete the master's program. All right, so I know that was a mouthful. That was quite a bit also for you to take in. Just know that as we move forward into the program, we will explain all these pieces. So don't feel that you have to have it all in your head at this point. All right, so moving right along, thanks, Selena. We're highlighting one of our electives here with these pictures, and that's the elective called GBLD 535, the field trip. So we've been going abroad to Ecuador, Quito. Lisa, who's with us, has been on all these trips. And it's very exciting because you've got all this knowledge from within the program. You're now in country, we're outside of Canada, and you're able to, as we're moving through all these different communities, so we move, through the communities in terms of the cities, in terms of the challenges, the communities within even the same cities that have diverse and different contexts and challenges. So you really get to see how you can apply your competencies in the different areas. You're not asked to do that work yet because you're still learning. It's a course it's an elective course where you're still learning. And we do get students all the time saying, oh, I know how I can support this community. You're still learning. And, obviously there will be opportunities for conversations and that kind of thing, but there's so much to learn from these communities as well that you might like to consider taking forward into your capstone or internship or your career moving forward. So upper left in that picture, students are walking through the cities in Quito. Lower left, we're in a community where the community was challenged, and I believe is still quite challenged with issues such as climate change, and also you know, the eucalyptus trees that were taking quite a bit of water away from, there's quite a bit of trees there, from, you know, other agricultural activities, and grappling with how to support the community given the challenges of the, you know, that climate change has brought as well. The upper right, I believe, Lisa, that was ESPE, where students, you can see in the picture, are speaking to a group, which is the military. And we've got collaborations with different groups there as well. And students are speaking to what they would like to do in their capstones. And so this has generated typically quite a lot of engagement and discussion and dialogue. And lower right, students are going down the Amazon and learning from Indigenous communities that were visited on this trip. All right, so our last trip was virtual because of COVID. It was in India. We don't know yet, for those of you who are joining the program in the fall, where we will be next year, but that's one of the options as electives to go abroad. And we don't know as well, not only which country that will be, but whether that's going to be in person or online as we had last year. And mind you, I say online and it sounds like it wasn't, you know, it was kind of a compromise. In a way it was, because we couldn't go abroad. But the result was that we could actually move between communities super quickly within the same day because it was virtual. So a lot of rich learning very quickly. Okay, so I've covered the completion options, I believe, already. So I'll just look at one of the questions I see in the chat from Derek. If your program cannot go on the field trip because of the pandemic, are you able to come back later to participate as a graduate? Oh, are you able to participate as a graduate? Typically we have students move together as a cohort within the electives. And I have to think about that question a little bit more, Derek, whether that's possible. We've never allowed it up till now. So my assumption moving forward is that will not be the case. I'm so sorry. But I'm assuming that we will have that option for next year. So if you're joining, Derek, this fall, I'm pretty sure we will have that option for you while you're in the program. All right. Selena, over to you.
Back to me. Well, thank you, Wanda, for getting through all that information in just a short period of time. And thank you, Derek, for kicking off our Q&A. This is a great time to start popping any questions that come up for you about anything we've heard so far into our chat box. I have just a few slides here. We're going to go over what the admission requirements and application requirements for this program look like, and then we'll dive right into those questions. So feel free to start popping them in the chat box. So with that, we're going to kick off speaking about admissions. So here at Railroads, we have both standard and flexible admissions. So we'll start with standard admissions, what is similar to criteria you'd find at other institutions, where we're going to look for things like a 4-year undergraduate degree from a recognized post-secondary institution with a minimum GPA of a B. We're also going to look for here at Railroads a minimum of 3 years of general leadership experience. And we have an asterisk beside leadership because if you head to our website, we have such a wonderful definition is probably too defining of a word, but we have a wonderful description perhaps of all the different ways leadership experience could be expressed and applied to the admission criteria for this program. And then we're also going to look for demonstration of significant cross-cultural experience gained through travel or work. So flexible admissions. Flexible admissions is something we're really proud of here at Royal Roads University because it comes back to our commitment to being an institution for working professionals. It comes back to our commitment of honoring experience that happens both in a formal academic learning institution, but experience that you've gained professionally and personally as well to provide that richness to our cohorts. So for those folks who may not have a degree or traditional academic background, but who have extensive experience in the field, you are still able to participate as a learner in this program. So we'd be looking for folks with at least 10 years of professional experience, with at least 3 years of leadership experience. Then again, we're going to look for a demonstration of cross-cultural experience gained through travel or work. And you'll see a blurb there. It's in a bit of a smaller text, but it reads that applicants who are assessed under flexible admissions, including those who meet the degree requirement, but perhaps not the GPA requirement, will normally be required to take academic writing and critical thinking and must obtain a minimum of B+ 5 weeks prior to commencing the program. And this course, academic writing and critical thinking, is well loved on our campus, both by those folks who are joining us through flexible admissions, folks who are joining us through standard admissions, those who are perhaps a bit further from their last academic experience, and they want to freshen up their toolkit before starting the program. This course ensures that once you're in the program, you're not trying to figure out, well, how do I structure this sort of paper? What is APA citation? How is my own grammar and writing style looking right now? Instead, you're going to cover all of that in this course to ensure that when you start the program, you're ready to hit the ground running and not be worried about your writing style per se, but instead what you're writing about, and you can dive right into the content. So if you have any questions about this course, always connect with our offices. Being that it's so well loved, I believe it's offered once a month and sometimes even more than once a month. So just connect with us and we can let you know when it's being offered next and provide any more information about that. I'll note that while we have standard and flexible admissions, when you head to our website and you hit apply, there's no need to click, I'm a standard applicant, I'm a flexible applicant. Instead, which you'll see actually on this slide here, the process for both groups is the exact same. It'll kick off with an online application with a fee of $128.81. And then we're going to look for your supporting documents. So if you're coming from having academic experiences in the past, we're going to look for your official transcripts. Then we're going to be interested in a personal statement, a detailed resume, and 2 letters of reference. And then if applicable, we may be looking for a credit evaluation report or an English language proficiency score as well. So it's on our end that when looking at your profile, we would go, okay, flexible admissions, standard admissions, and that's not for you to worry about. I'll note that flexible admissions is something that's assessed on a case-by-case basis. So if when I was reading that, you had any questions, just connect with us. Folks like Rhonda and Alana are so excited to learn more about you and help both our teams and yourself understand how your experiences could apply to this program or any others on our campus as well. I'll highlight just for this slide here that our website is a wonderful resource as you move through putting together some of these documents. So for example, for your personal statement on our website, you'll find some guiding questions that'll give you an idea of what are we looking to learn about you in your personal statement. For your detailed resume, what categories should you include to make sure that we get to know you even better? And then some practical information in the sense of, how do my referees get their letters to your offices? How do I ensure my transcripts remain official? And how long should some of these documents be? All that's covered on our website. But again, we're happy to move through that with you at any time. upcoming intakes. So as you may have noticed, based on some of the slides we've showed already, a lot of our programs are pieced within one another, kind of that nesting doll, nesting egg type situation. So what that means is they're all going to begin at the same time, putting their application deadlines at the same times as well. So if you're interested in any of the global leadership programs we've discussed today, our next intake begins in October. So October 3rd, 2022. So that means our application deadline is July 3rd, 2022. And it's important for me to share that we're not waiting until, so at RRU, we do assessments on an ongoing basis. So that means we're not going to wait until July 3rd and then take a look at all the different application packages that have come in. Instead, once your online application is in and your supporting documents have arrived, we're able to adjudicate your file and let you know about your seat in the program. So this is why the application deadline is particularly important, because for programs like these where we have one application deadline, one start date, it's important to get that online application in as soon as you can, because that signals to us that you're interested in the program. It allows us to keep an eye on the seats available. Once your online application is in, we can always support you in getting those supporting documents in as well. So if I can just drill that down to its simplicities, make sure you get your online application in as well as your supporting documents so we can get back to you as fast as we can. But at the least, get that online application in, especially before July 3rd, so we can support you in moving through your documents. And when I say support, well, we have a lot of that on our campus. You've met already Rhonda, Alana, Lisa, myself, Wanda. We are representatives of a variety of different teams on our campus. And then on the slide, you can see so many more eager to support your journey from being a new student all the way through to being one of our esteemed alumni. So folks like student engagement, Indigenous International Student Services, our rec center, learning and career development, counseling services, our financial aids and awards office, and accessibility services. Financial aid is a question that we get a lot, and as we should. Financial planning is such a critical component of being able to pursue continued education. So we wanted to make sure right away we gave you this slide that provided the website and direct phone lines of this team. If you're interested in learning with us at Rural Roads, I highly recommend connecting with these folks because they have their fingertips on resources available inside Rural Roads, but some externally as well. And you never know what types of funding you might qualify for. So they're always here to answer questions about scholarships, bursaries, any other types of funding, loans, you name it. These are the specialists on our campus that can help answer those questions. And looking at some of our other specialists and advisors, Rhonda and Alana's teams, their information is listed here. So if you are a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, landed immigrant, or refugee, you're going to connect with Rhonda and her team at learn.more@ruralroads.ca. And if you're joining us as an international citizen or temporary resident, you're going to connect with Alana and her team at learn.more.international@ruralroads.ca. And for any of our international citizens or temporary residents, you'll see this code. This is for you to swipe your phone and you can get connected with Alana and her team directly via WhatsApp, which is a pretty cool function. So with that, we have come to the end of our formal presentation today. We are always here to continue the conversation, and we're going to do so in a short Q&A now. But if you're interested in some of the conversations we're having within the school, within this program, check out the School of Leadership's blog. They have a variety of different special topic discussions happening in that space, highlights of a variety of different students and alumni who have completed their programs and what their research looked like, and some links to some fun webinars we've hosted with all of those folks. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to close down my presentation and I'm going to open up this chat box. So we can see all the fun that's been happening. I see I have a few alerts here. So I'm just going to scroll up to the top so we can see what we're discussing today. So right at the top, both Alana and Rhonda have shared their contact information, as well as links to connect with them or how you can book direct appointments with them and their teams. We have Rhonda sharing a variety of links from the MA in Global Leadership, the links to our courses, links to our admission requirements, more info about the writing course. Alana again has shared that you can connect with an enrollment advisor via email, phone, or scheduling a virtual advising session. You can also schedule any of these advising sessions with our financial aid team as well. And then we have a couple questions here from Stacy. Oh, how wonderful. So Rhonda, Wanda and Rhonda and Alana and Lisa, maybe we'll all go through these together one by one, because there's such a slew of things here, which is just exciting. So to kick us off, how many hours per week can we expect to spend if we are part of this program?
All right, I think Lisa has the official hours per credits. Lisa, just jump on if you do per week. And obviously that differs between the intensive MA and what we call the regular 24-month MA. But it also differs depending on, if you're coming from outside Canada and English is your second or third or fourth or whatever language, you might want to give yourself a little bit more time with the readings. Lisa, do you remember off the top of your head?
Yes, so it's 33 hours per credit, and most of our courses are 3 credits, so it's 99 hours, and most of our courses are 10 weeks. So it's about 10 hours a week for 3 credit courses. There are some 6 credit and 9 credit courses, and so you can kind of do the math after that.
Thanks, appreciate that, Lisa. And I know that I'm, even though I have been in academia for now decades, I'm a slow reader, and it depends on the reading itself. So even though 10 hours, I know the 10 hours for me personally would be just for the readings. So everyone is different. This is the official, what's from, experience expected. And also always, and this is what I do for myself, always calculate a little bit more, just to make sure that you have the capacity and space to be successful within the program. And I see from your questions, Stacy, you're thinking about the on-campus and where to be. When you're in residency, you're not expected to be doing any more reading. So just to know, those 10 hours would be front-loaded, meaning what you would be doing over the several weeks, you're doing intensively within the first 3 weeks of a residency course. So just know from now that you'll be intensively reading to prepare to come on campus where you don't read anymore, so that you can engage with your colleagues in dialogue, so you can engage during the plenaries and the facilitators on the topic, so that you're fully present for all the activities that are involved in an on-campus residency, that whether you're on the on-campus program or the blended, you'll be participating in. Do you recommend staying on campus? So yes, in residency, we do recommend that you stay on campus. There is housing for students when you come for residency on campus for that period of time. You have the option to stay off campus, but because of the activities which go into the evening every day, and for some of the weekend that you are doing, or it could be quite a bit of the weekend, depending on where your teams are at, because you're put into teams and you're working on projects together. You do want to be able to just walk into a classroom that you've agreed to work in together and, have easy access. And finally, is there room left in the next intake? Yes, absolutely. There is room in this next intake, meaning fall 2022. So yes, and please be mindful that the deadline is in just over a month, so July 3rd. I don't know if you're applying from the domestic or the international. These are the two categories. But if international, I hope for all of you who are on the call, you already have some pieces in place because it takes time for your transcripts to come through, for them to be reviewed. I think this is the space that takes a little bit more time, but if you can get your recommendation letters in and your, all the other pieces, then please do as soon as possible. And I see that everyone has popped in their connections and where to go to for more information. You've got a ton of resources there. And what I'd love to just emphasize is, and I'm just pulling, from what you've already said, Selena, is you have a team here. We're all with you. I know this is a cozy group today, but you can see all the people who are part of this program and supporting this program. We're here for you. Do not hesitate, please, to reach out and ask any question. Know that probably that question is easy for us to answer, and it's going to take you a long time to figure out. So just please do reach out.
Wanda, maybe we can just touch on one more question around, I imagine this is for the blended offering, though, Stacy, if I'm wrong, please pop in. Are there any set hours someone is expected to be online? So that's synchronous versus asynchronous type learning.
That's a fantastic question, and sorry I missed that. Typically, for the blended program students, most of your course time online is asynchronous. So you'll be asked to go in with prompts for questions and engage online by answering your colleagues' prompts and questions, and answering the prompts and questions that are embedded in the online course. Now, I'm being tentative. That said, we are hoping, and we don't have, any green light or any, yes at this point, but we have, we're putting through a proposal to bring some of the students who are challenged to come to campus, either for whatever, I won't name all the different challenges that you might be facing. There's multiple reasons students are challenged to come onto campus. We are very busy, let's just say. We don't have the green light, but we're very busy to find ways to support students to come and join us from the online space. And what that means is you'll be joining the on-campus in these courses. And what that means is, yes, actually, if we are able to support those students, there will be synchronous timings where you would come together. A long roundabout way of answering yes and no. And really our hope is to offer with all this flexibility and supports so that, we're really being responsive to the needs of all of you, whatever situations you're facing for learning.
That is just awesome, Wanda. And thanks for kind of signaling that flexibility that's here and greater flexibility to come. We've hit exactly 1 p.m. and I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat box. So perhaps this is a good time. Oh, here we go. One question came in. In my account, I see my application status as held. I was asked to submit my degree certificate and have done so. How long would it take for a decision to be made on my application? We know this is just a beautiful example of a question that our enrollment specialists can help you with. So if you are joining us as a Canadian citizen, refugee, someone who would be, as Wanda mentioned, in our domestic bucket in terms of applying, connect with Rhonda and her team at learn.more@rollroads.ca. Otherwise, you can connect with Alana and her team at learn.more.international@rollroads.ca, because they'll be able to take a look and perhaps provide you with some more information about your application status. And thank you for the great question. So with that, Wanda, was there anything else you wanted to share before we clicked off today?
Just thank you everyone for carving out time from your busy day or evening to join us. We haven't been able to see all your faces, but your names at least. And I feel that connection to all of your names already. So hoping to see you in the program in the fall.
Thanks so much, Wanda. Lisa, was there anything else you wanted to share before we clicked off today?
No, I just repeat what Wanda said. We're very, very excited to hopefully see you.
Amazing. And I get to go last, which means I get to say ditto times 2. We're so excited to talk to you and even more excited to see you. So with that, we wish all of you a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, depending where in the world you're joining us or when you're watching this recording, and know that we are always here to continue the conversation. So have a great day. Bye-bye.